Hey guys, it's Forsaken Reality here with the third part of the Thrall Game Kit version 2 and the MP System version 2 integration video. In this one, we're going to be fixing the issue that we got last time where once we picked up a weapon, we couldn't do anything else due to the inaction. But it actually turned out to be something to do with the animation curves. We'll also be looking into setting up our wiggles, which is our weapon sway, so that when you pick up a weapon, you'll be able to walk left and you see the weapon moves with you kinda, and you'll also rotate it around the screen like so. And we'll also fix it so the movement's more smooth, so it's not like jittery when it's moving up and down and left and right. Have all this set up. So without further ado, we will get into that. First thing I'm going to do is oh yes, I already have it open. Okay. I thought I was going to load it up. Okay, I'm just going to close out of this. So I was using this when I was debugging. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our animation blueprint. We're going to fix that weapon issue. When we pick up our weapons, it's not updating things properly. So basically, you want to go to your event graph, update anim, and your update anim variables. You want to go to your InAction activation, and we're just gonna skip this check for now. File and save, and you should be able to do shoot now, aim. Yeah, everything looks to be fine there. So now that we have that done, we're going to set up our wiggle. Before I do that, I'm just going to go into my item list. Or no, I'm going to go into my holdable items, and for my M4, which is the weapon that I'm using for testing everything in, I'm just going to change it to my SMG because the hand alignments are set up for the these adjustments right here are set up specifically for that SMG. You can adjust these for the M4 and any other weapons you want to adjust your left and right hands. But for now, I have that set up by default for this, so that when you aim in, it goes to the correct location. So you know that we don't have our sway and there's stutter when we're aiming. Fix the stutter. So I go into our master character, our camera boom, and disable view spawn control rotation. We were temporarily using that before, but now I don't think we need that anymore. Yeah, there we go. Now we have a smooth rotation, but we don't have our sway in yet. And our leans feels funny, like the moving around in the lean. So we're gonna be replacing everything to do with the lean, so that it moves properly, but that'll be in the next video. So now that we have that checked out, we want to deal with our lean, or our sway, which would be called wiggle in our multiplayer system. So you want to open up your character. We're also going to want to get our controller and our animation blueprint. That's the three areas that handle the wiggle, the block, and everything else like that. We have our wiggle function right here. It's going to copy all this. I'm going to go to my character, create a function. You can call this sway, and you can remove the word wiggle and change it to sway if you want. I'm just going to keep it wiggle, just to keep it simple. And I will add in this looking direction. That's like if you hold shift for in like a game's only game I can think that does it is Rust. When you hold a button, you can be sprinting forward and you can turn your head and look behind you and continue sprinting forward. It doesn't change your direction of movement. That's what this is for right here. We will implement this, but for now I'm just going to disable it since it's a whole other part. There's going to be some extra things we need to do in our animation blueprint. Make sure that works. And in here, we're actually going to want to do a few different things. Just one, I want to check we're aimed, because is aiming is right here, but that's not how it's done in Survival Game Kit. And the wiggle variable, you notice there's two of them there. We can delete that one. That's for the controller, which we don't need. We're going to be getting it all from the character component, which is why I haven't created the variable yet. So you want to go to your Survival Game Kit, Blueprints, Components, Character Component, create a variable wiggle. I'm just going to check that variable. Okay, yeah, it's defaulted. It's not replicated, so wiggle, and it's a rotator. So you want to set rotator. Come back to your master character. And here we're going to make some changes. So I'm just going to make this a little easier to read. Get that back. First, we're going to deal with this one. And we're going to get our character component. So that's where we put our wiggling variable. So it's going to get the current wiggle value, and then it's going to adjust it and then set it. I'm just going to delete that because I'm going to recomment it right here. This is our aim check. So we're going to want to get our character, I believe, and then want to get our holding item. Now I got a reference to our master holdable, but we want to get our range, master range weapon specifically, because that's where our aimed variable is. Yeah, search for aim, scroll down, get aimed. Just going to comment that. We're also going to set it up so that if a cast fails, then we'll still do a default wiggle, which means not on the range weapon itself. And I'm just going to bring this up a little. Bring this up a little. Bring that down. I'm going to Control-C to copy this, Control-V. And I'm going to plug this into there, delete these, plug this in like that, connect this to the false aim, so we're not aimed. we'll be running into this one. I'll show you the differences between those in 1 second. So we'll need to make some adjustments because Survival Game Kit doesn't have just a move right, it has move right and a move left input, so right now it's only checking right. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can create a boolean and duplicate this, but I figured that it would be easier if we used a selection float to determine if we are moving left or right. And the way we do that, let's get a select. And we're also going to need to fix these because that's not the right input. So I'm going to look for axes values, right? That's Survival Game Kits, right? And look up def / down. So copy 2Ds, Control C and Control V them up here. Okay. The way we're going to do this is move right times 1 means up. And we're going to go select float. And if our right axis equals 0, which means there's no right input, then it will be B, and if there's an input, then it will go A. So get left. Copy this and paste that. This is going to be -1 instead of 1, so it goes the opposite way. And I actually have these backwards. The left is on top, so that if it equals 0, that means you're moving left. Or you will be able to use your left input, and if it's not equal 0, then we'll use its right. And then we'll plug this back in right here. That's checking if it's left or right. And we can copy this and paste it down here. Delete that, just plug that in. But the values on here are going to be slightly different. Because this is the unnamed, so it'll have more movement. So you want -5, 5. And this just makes it so it sways a lot less, basically. You can create a variable for those so it makes more sense. Let's put a comment there so that makes a little more sense. Unnamed. And I'm using the word sway because sway and wiggle is the same thing. Okay, so that should be everything in here, I believe. Our wiggle being set for our right and left movements. Now we want to go to our event graph per frame. We want to call our wiggle function, or sway if you change it to sway. I'll just leave it wiggle for now. Now you want to go into your animation blueprint, and in your event graph, and update animation. Make a better room here. We're going to get our character component, get our wiggle, and promote that to a variable. We actually have it created there, so delete that. Set this wiggle. Don't worry about that old block, that was just from my debugging. And plug this into here. And there's our weapon sway being sent to our animation blueprint. You know, we just go into here, comments, or not the project settings, and preferences. If you don't like the color of your comments, default ones, you can always set your default color right here. I like the black ones. They just look a little neater. They don't look so, so messy when there's a bunch of them. Okay, so there's our weapon sway in our animation blueprints. Now we actually want to use our weapon sway in our anim graph, but I believe we actually set that up last time because it doesn't really interfere with anything if it's not set up. And yes, right here we have our wiggle set up right there, already done. I believe that's all there is to that. Just gonna click play and see how everything looks, see if we have any issues that we need to adjust for that. So we walk left or right, and you move right, left. There's no camera. I'm gonna set up like camera. There's a camera walk and run movements, which makes it look a little more better. So it's like, so your camera like does this automatically without your weapon doing it. It gives a little movement, but we'll set that up after. You'll notice that it's slightly less in here. It does have a little bit of a sway when you move left and right. And then it's really noticeable right here. And that's going to be everything for this episode. If you found this video helpful and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new tutorial uploads. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, feel free to leave those in the comments section below, or join my Discord community using the link in the description. We have a very helpful community. I'm sure someone there would be willing to help you if I wasn't able to get to you. Thanks, and I'll see you all in the next episode.